Hello, Pirate Dave here. It is another new comic book day. It is July 29th, 2026. Let's get right into it with some comic books. And fittingly, up first, we have The Man of Steel, Superman Year 1000 2026 annual. I got to tell you, my local comic shop had about five spaces for stacks for this book, and almost all of them gone. There were maybe 4 issues left total, and that's just a couple hours after the comic shop opened. This, of course, is answering the question of what happened to Superman after the DCKO event, and he's probably not the Man of Steel anymore, but instead of the God of Steel. And get a little bit of look at the pages inside there. And look at that. Oh, is this a little bit of a spoiler? Return of Superman. What's going on? Superman's back with Lois. Oh my goodness. Telling his story. And now, just to let you know, she's just seeing things. Superman is not quite back in the beginning of this story, at least. Get some credits here. This is written by Joshua Williamson. Artist is Eddie Barrows. And colorist is Adriano Lucas. I'm not the biggest Superman fan or follower. I don't hate Superman or anything. I just don't routinely buy his books. A little bit of an overwhelming thing, right? You know, do you start with Action Comics #1 in 1938? Or do you just jump into one of the Action Comics story arc along the side? It's always been a little bit of intimidating for me, but I'm tangentially familiar with the event, so we'll see how this goes. It's a nice thick book, of course, as well. In fact, I picked up a lot of annuals this week, including this next one, the Detective Comics Annual 2026. And you can see from the cover there what the story arc is going to be. Guest starring Lobo. Looks like Lobo's got a bounty on the Dark Knight. That is so fantastic. You know, I was actually interested in variant covers for both these DC books. If you're not aware, variant covers for DC books are always $1 extra because they wrap them in a card stock. So I did save a little bit of money going with the A covers here, but that was mostly because, man, these issues were gobbled up. There were many more of these Detective Comics annuals than there were of the Superman annuals, but look at that. Love that 2-page spread panel right there, and the detail on the Space Hog is fantastic. I'd like to get some credits here. Don't know exactly where they're going to pop up at. Well, we can see on the cover there, Taylor, that might be Tom Taylor. Wild Goose, Scott, Mariscal, K-Walk. You may know those names. I'm sorry that I don't know them offhand. Again, I don't follow Batman very much either, but I do follow Lobo. I'm a big Lobo fan. I'm pulling the current Lobo series. And anytime you guest star Lobo in something, you're going to get my money. And I'm sure that's exactly why they did it. So hopefully that'll be a nice book to pick up as well. Not quite as thick as that Superman annual, but still pretty hefty. Also, not an annual, but a one-shot, and another hefty one-shot. It's Raccoon Rocket Rewind. It seems like there's a lot of series that Marvel is doing that are throwing back to a, I don't know what you want to call it, a more popular age or a nostalgic age. I know that Chris Claremont just had the Gambit book that was going back in time to tell a story, and I'm assuming this is doing the same thing, although it looks like it's going to be an annual. Looks like we have 4 stories in here. The Fight in the Raccoon is Christos Gage, illustrated by Todd Nowak, colorist Rachel Rosenberg. Boom Shakalaka is written by Mackenzie Cadenhead, artist is Enid Balam, and colorist is Fersuentes Sujo. Hopefully I said that correctly. The Sword in the Star is J.M. DeMatteis, Sean McManus, and Luis Guerrero. And The Sword in the Star, Witchworld is Bill Mantlo, Keith Giffen, yeah, and Karen Mantlo. I don't know much about Rocket Raccoon. I'm sure, like a lot of MCU fans, I'm familiar with the depiction voiced by Bradley Cooper in the movies. I don't know that if Rocket Raccoon is exactly like that. I did read an old Sensational She-Hulk by John Byrne story with Rocket Raccoon in it. I believe it was Sensational She-Hulk number 45. Actually, that it's a tangent, but that issue had come up recently as one of my favorite John Byrne issues because of all the pinups it has of She-Hulk. But Rocket Raccoon is featured in that story arc, so I have read at least one story arc in comics form featuring Rocket Raccoon. This first story is, look at that, super dense, super colorful, just everything happening on the page. That background just full of lightning and purples and pinks and that blue and red suit from Rocket. And let's see if we can jump ahead to the other stories. You can see some of the other art stylings here. This is much more of a Saturday morning sort of cartoon feel, but like a 2000 Saturday morning maybe. And it looks like we get a nice classic black and white, and that's probably harkening back to the earliest days, although I'm not seeing Rocket anywhere on the page. Maybe Witch World doesn't have anything to do with Rocket Raccoon. And not sure where that fourth story is gotten. No, it's hiding in here. It's hiding in here somewhere. Okay, maybe that's it. Nope, there's Rocket. There's Rocket in that. Anyway, there's a little bit of a preview for what's going on in Rocket Raccoon. If you're interested in a little anthology series for Rocket Raccoon, harkening back to some classic storytelling, it looks like that'll be interesting to dive into. Up next, we have from Titan Comics. I don't see a whole lot of Titan from Titan, mostly just Conan. We have Black Star. I read the synopsis of this. I'll say that I thought the synopsis sounded interesting, but I cannot recall what it was. I do apologize about that. But this book is written by Kristen Kruick, Smallville's Kristen Kruick, I'm guessing, Peter Mooney and Eric Putzer, illustrated by Joe Picardo, colored by Valentina Bianconi. I don't know if that's the Kristen Kruick. I'm sorry. I'm not absolutely aware. You can see a little bit of the illustration. It's very gritty, very realistic. Snow over shadowy, dark backgrounds. And this is very much a style, right? This, if you're into this style, great. If you're not into this style, it's not exactly my favorite style. These sort of shadowy, darker books. Oh, but I do love that framing. Look at that. It's very cinematic, and that would explain it if you had more Hollywood types involved in writing this. They certainly come up with some very dimensional panels, I will say. Up next, we have Geiger number 24, a non-number one finally, right? Geiger, of course, is a fantastic series. It's a post-apocalyptic series taking place in the unnamed universe of Ghost Machine, written by Jeff Johns and illustrated by Gary Frank. And I believe the colorist on this is going to be Brad Anderson. Yep, Brad Anderson. Now, of course, you can see from the cover there, we're going to get a return of Junkyard Joe. Junkyard Joe, if you're not aware, is a robot that was developed by some part of the U.S. government for testing in the Vietnam War. He was a robot soldier, and he actually saw some things, and he responded to the violence and the connections that he made over there in a very traumatic way. So Junkyard Joe is definitely going through some things. He's been around since the Vietnam War in post-apocalyptic America. It feels like Geiger has been on a bit of a break. It feels like it's been a minute since I've read it. The last issue was Geiger flashing back to his family, or he actually went back there. I'm not exactly sure. They're playing with a little bit of a timeline thing in the series right now. Sorry, I'm getting up because I forgot to grab my knife, which will be relevant for the next book, which is Queen in Black Blind Bag. I'll tell you, I get my gotcha moments. I get my gambling moments, and sometimes I see an opportunity and I just want to go for it. Roll the dice and see what I get. We're going to open up this Queen of Black Blind Bag. And I really don't even know what is rare or what is not. I'm just hoping that, unlike the terminal one, I'm not going to get Queen of Black number 10 here and not really know what's going on. That if I get Queen of Black number 1, it's a good day. Hell on Earth. This is a card stock. It's a kind of a flimsy. Oh, it's not a card stock. It's like a flimsy cover. Oh, okay. I guess that's the actual. That's just a covering. Don't miss an issue of Hela and Noel's Cosmic Collision. And it shows the whole event and crossovers there. I'm not following Queen of Black. Again, Hela's cool. I'm interested in Hela. And here is the variant cover that I got. I don't know how rare it is or how rare it is not. Is it cool? It's very cool. Look at this. This is fantastic. I love that sort of Maleficent green on there. I don't know if anybody else is, people are cringing at that description of that shade there, but it's fantastic. And of course, an awesome variant cover is kind of by the ad on the inside, right? Noel, of course, is this sort of Venomverse character, right? I don't know a whole lot about him, but people went nuts. I know that his first appearance kind of shot up in value. Not to mention his first like cover appearance even shot up in value. So people are really down with this character, I gotta say. Sorry, did I get the credits there? I always love to get credits. I mean, you can see on the back of the blind bag this Queen in Black True Believers blind bag contains one copy of Queen in Black with one of the following covers: Ryan Stegman, David Nakayama, Guri Hiru, Art Germ, Virgin, Ji Young Lee, Virgin, Patrick Gleason. Well, this is one of the Virgin ones. This would be... That's Art Germ. Yep. That's Art Germ's signature. So the Art Germ... Sorry. The Stanley Art Germ Lau Virgin variant cover. Very cool. Again, if I knew where the title page was, this isn't always I don't always know. Sometimes it's at the back, sometimes it's at the front. I wish I could get some better credits for you. I don't really prepare for these videos well enough to be useful when when they're not at the front. Lastly, for the bonus this week, I have, what is this? What does this look like to you? Well, this is Fallout New Vegas All Roads. You may or may not know what that is. Fallout New Vegas, of course, is a video game it's actually made by Obsidian, published by Bethesda, based on Bethesda's Fallout 3 and later Fallout series of video games. All Roads, as the title implies, tells the prequel story, the preamble to the story of the game. And in the game, you play a courier who is betrayed by a man named Benny. Benny's actually voiced by Matthew Perry of Friends fame. That's really cool. Apparently, he's just a big fan of the Fallout games, and he got the opportunity to do a voice. This is written by the writer of the video game, Chris Avellone, and it tells the story of Benny, what led to him running the Tops Casino, I believe he's in charge of. Somebody can correct me on that if anybody's listening. And of course, you see Mr. House overlooking the strip there of New Vegas. This is not a very long book. It's only about 48 pages, I believe. This was a pretty pricey book. I guess it's valued at around $80 or so. I got it for $75. It was kind of just a whimsical pickup at my local comic shop. But of course, I'm a big fan of the Fallout games, big fan of New Vegas. I got the collector's edition of New Vegas for PS3 way back in the day. It came in a really great leather box. It had chips for all the casinos, as well as the platinum chip, and then it had a deck of cards which were just like the cards in the game. They were just random assorted cards for the game of Caravan. If anybody ever played that in the game, I really never played it in the game, but it was very, very cool materials, very cool, like physical. I mean, that's back when collector's editions had really cool physical materials for that. And I don't know that uh, I thought it had an art book. I don't know if this was associated with some version of the collector's edition. Wasn't the one that I got, I'll tell you that, because I certainly don't remember this comic book, but I am interested to dive into it. Hopefully it's interesting. You get a closer look at that cover, and it's going to be sort of a dense, densely populated. That's not the strip. It's not going to be the strip that is densely populated. It's actually, um, I think it's the outside, right? Is that? Sorry, I'm I'm seeing King here, and that is that where the King's base is. Anyway, hopefully you had a great new comic book day. I had a great new comic book day. Some very interesting, some new things for me to get into. And hopefully you're trying out new things as well. There's so many comics out there. I'll tell you what, that you don't always want to just stay in your little niche. I know that not everybody can afford to experiment and branch out and pick up a $75 48-page hardcover. And I'm not saying that I'm Mr. Moneybags and I can just afford to do stuff like that all the time. But just take a chance, take a leap, see if you'll find something that'll be more enriching than you expect. It's a hobby. It's a hobby with great frontiers left ahead of it, especially for you personally. Anything that you haven't tried out is a new frontier for you. Hopefully, you have a great new comic book day. I will see you next time. Bye.